Hi, and welcome to English-Fabule. Are you learning English? Great. Let's learn English with a very interesting story. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Let's get started.
A big announcement came from Buckingham Palace on Thursday, October 30th, 2025. This news marked one of the most important actions in the modern history of the British royal family. King Charles III officially announced that he would take away all remaining titles and honors from his younger brother, Prince Andrew. Andrew would also lose the special use of his Royal Highness status. This decisive step followed earlier news that Andrew had said he would stop using some of his Duke of York titles, but that voluntary action was clearly not enough to calm the situation. The palace statement was unusually direct and clear. It said that the king had started a formal process to remove Prince Andrew's style, titles, and honors. From that day on, Andrew would be known simply as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. He was stripped of the prince title, a designation he had held since his birth as the son of the late Queen Elizabeth II. This change meant a significant loss of his royal identity. Andrew lost more than just his main prince title. The 65-year-old royal also forfeited other important titles, like Earl of Inverness and Baron Killyleagh. These distinctions were part of centuries-old royal tradition. Most importantly, the removal of his Royal Highness, HRH, showed a clear break from his position as a senior member of the royal family. This special designation was his by birthright, given to children of the sovereign. Taking it away meant he was, in royal terms, sent away from the main institution. Another equally big change happened. Andrew had to leave his home. He received an official notice to move out of Royal Lodge in Windsor Great Park. This was a large mansion with 30 rooms where he had lived for over 20 years. The palace officially required him to end his lease and find other private accommodation. This eviction added a physical, real dimension to Andrew's fall from grace and highlighted his changed standing. The palace's actions came because many people did not want Andrew to keep living in a taxpayer-funded home, or to keep his royal benefits. Polls showed that 4 out of 5 British people wanted his titles formally removed. Members of Parliament also began to look into the money arrangements for Andrew's housing. They expressed concerns about public money being used for Prince Andrew, especially since he was no longer an active royal and serious accusations were against him. This shocking news deeply affected the world and shook the royal family, showing a historic and difficult decision by King Charles. 2. A prince no more. Andrew lost many important titles that day. He was no longer known as Prince Andrew. Instead, he would simply be called Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. He lost the Duke of York title, which he had held for many years. He also lost his titles as Earl of Inverness and Baron Killyleagh. These were not the only changes. He also forfeited prestigious honors, like his position as a Knight Grand Cross of the Royal Victorian Order, and his membership in the Order of the Garter. These distinctions were very old and a big part of royal tradition. Perhaps the most significant change was losing His Royal Highness, or HRH, status. This special HRH title showed he was a senior member of the royal family. It was his birthright, a title he had for 65 years. Taking it away was a strong sign. It meant he was cut off from the main royal group, a kind of institutional exile. It changed his standing completely within the royal structure. King Charles also took another big step. He told Andrew to leave his home. Andrew had been living at Royal Lodge in Windsor Great Park for over 2 decades. This large mansion had 30 rooms. Andrew was formally told to give up his lease and find other private accommodation. The special legal protection that allowed him to live at Royal Lodge for decades was now gone. Even his former wife, Sarah Ferguson, who also lived there, had to make new living arrangements. There were talks that Andrew would move to a property on the King's Sandringham estate, but these plans were still being worked out. Andrew had bought Royal Lodge in 2003 for about £1 million. He paid very little rent and spent around £7.5 million on making repairs. The palace's actions came because of strong public and political anger. Many people in Britain did not want Andrew to keep living in a house paid for by taxpayers. They also wanted him to lose his special royal rights. Surveys showed that 4 out of 5 British people supported taking away his titles. A YouGov survey found that 63% were strongly in favor and 17% were somewhat supportive. Members of Parliament also began to look closely at Andrew's living costs. A Conservative MP, Geoffrey Clifton Brown, questioned the use of public money for Andrew. He said there was great public interest because Andrew was no longer an active royal and the serious allegations against him. This clear demand from the public and politicians pushed King Charles to act decisively. 3. The dark story. Prince Andrew's big problems started because of his friendship with Jeffrey Epstein. Epstein was a very bad man, a criminal who hurt many people. He was a financier and was found guilty of serious sex crimes. He died in prison in 2019, waiting for another trial. Andrew's connection to Epstein brought much trouble to the royal family. Andrew had stepped away from public duties in 2019 after a difficult television interview where he tried to explain his friendship with Epstein. People were not happy with his answers then, and the problems continued. A woman named Virginia Giuffre made very serious claims about Prince Andrew. She said that when she was a teenager, Andrew hurt her. Giuffre claimed Andrew sexually assaulted her many times. Prince Andrew always said these claims were false. He strongly denied them. He said he had no memory of ever meeting this lady, and that the accusations were simply untrue. In 2022, Giuffre brought a lawsuit against Andrew in New York. They made a legal agreement called a settlement. Andrew paid Giuffre a large amount of money. News reports said it was millions. However, Andrew did not say he was guilty of anything. The agreement stated that Andrew did not admit to doing anything wrong. He kept saying her claims were untrue. Many people found this strange. They wondered how Andrew, who had no public job and was no longer an active royal, could pay so much money. This ambiguous settlement, where he paid but denied fault, fueled more public questions and anger. Critics questioned his lifestyle and financial means without official royal duties. The story came back into the news in a big way in October 2025. This happened because of a powerful book. Virginia Giuffre had written a book called Nobody's Girl. Sadly, Giuffre died in April 2025 at the age of 41, so the book was published after her death. In her memoir, Giuffre wrote about her claims in great detail. She said Andrew sexually assaulted her 3 times. One time, she was only 17 years old. She wrote that Andrew behaved as if having sex with me was his birthright. This phrase suggested Andrew felt he had a right to do what he wanted because of who he was. This powerful book made many headlines and created an avalanche of headlines in the media. It shared her sad and difficult story with many people, giving a strong final statement to her accusations. After the book came out, the public was very angry again. Andrew's denials, which he had made for many years, did not seem enough anymore to calm the situation. The book created a fresh wave of public fury. Also, new emails were found by the Times of London newspaper. These emails showed that Andrew stayed in contact with Jeffrey Epstein for a longer time than he had told everyone. This new information made people even more upset, as it challenged Andrew's earlier statements about distancing himself from Epstein. The royal family had hoped the problem with Andrew was over after his previous steps, but Joffre's book and the new emails brought this dark story back to everyone's attention with even greater force. This put immense pressure on King Charles to act decisively. 4. Why it took so long. It took a long time to remove Prince Andrew's royal titles, a full 6 years from when the problems first started in 2019. This was not a simple task because of many rules and legal difficulties. For example, to take away a title like Duke of York, a special law from the country's parliament was needed. This process is very slow and involves many discussions among lawmakers. The title of prince, which Andrew had since birth, could only be officially removed by the king or queen through a special document called letters patent. His mother, Queen Elizabeth II, took some steps before she passed away. In 2019, Andrew stopped doing public work for the royal family. Then, in 2022, Queen Elizabeth II removed his military positions and his roles with many charities. However, she chose not to take away his prince title or his dukedom at that time. Perhaps she hoped these earlier actions would be enough, or that a full removal was too difficult for her as his mother. The legal side was also very complex. The process of moving Andrew away from public royal life was slow, happening step by step. He first left his duties, then lost military honors. In October 2025, Andrew himself said he would stop using his titles. But this was not the same as King Charles taking them away officially. Finally, King Charles III decided to act strongly. Public anger was very high. A new book by Virginia Giuffre and new details about Andrew's connections to bad people made the situation even worse. It became clear that earlier actions were not enough to fix the problem. So, on October 30, 2025, King Charles officially removed Andrew's prince title and other honors. He used the legal document, the letters patent, to make this official. This was a very important decision for King Charles. He wanted to show that the royal family follows rules and wanted to protect its good name. This final decision showed that even royal family members can lose their titles if their actions cause too much harm. It was a difficult choice for a brother to make, but King Charles felt it was necessary for the monarchy. 5. Lessons from the past. It is not the first time a British royal has faced severe consequences. History shows other members of the royal family who lost their status or left their royal duties under difficult circumstances. These past events offer important lessons for today. One significant historical event happened during World War I. At that time, Britain was fighting Germany. The British royal family, who had German family roots, faced a unique problem. Some British princes also held titles in Germany. Because of this, some were seen as enemies of Britain. To address this, in 1917, a special law was passed. It was called the Titles Deprivation Act. This law allowed Parliament to take away British royal titles from those who were considered enemies during the war. For example, Prince Ernest Augustus, who was the Duke of Cumberland, and Prince Charles Edward, the Duke of Albany, both served in the German army. By a royal order in 1919, these men and some others formally lost their high royal ranks and honors. This act showed that loyalty to the country was extremely important, even for royals. This law is still valid today, but has not been used since that time. Another famous event involved King Edward VIII. He chose to leave his position as king in 1936. He did this because he wanted to marry an American woman named Wallis Simpson, who had been divorced. The royal family and the government did not approve of this marriage for a king. Edward chose love over duty. After he left the throne, his brother became King George VI. Edward was then given a new title, the Duke of Windsor. He kept the style Royal Highness. However, his wife, Wallis, was not allowed to be called Royal Highness. Edward lived outside Britain for most of his life. After his death, Queen Elizabeth II said that no one else could ever use the title Duke of Windsor. Many people later saw Edward's choice as selfish. When we look at Prince Andrew's situation, we can see both differences and similarities to these past events. The royals who lost titles during World War I were seen as disloyal to the country. King Edward VIII gave up his throne for personal romantic reasons. Prince Andrew's removal of titles and eviction is different. It is not because of a war or a personal choice about marriage. Instead, it is because of his connection to a convicted criminal and serious accusations made against him. This shows that the reasons for removing royal status can change over time. The monarchy now faces different kinds of modern challenges. King Charles's recent decision suggests that the royal family is trying to adapt to modern ideas of accountability. It highlights that personal conduct and public image are now very important for those who wish to keep their royal status and privileges. 6. A modern royal problem. Royal families around the world often face new challenges in modern times. Sometimes they make big changes to adapt. These actions show different ways royal houses deal with family members and their public roles. In Sweden, King Carl Gustaf made an important decision in 2019. He wanted to make the royal family smaller. He announced that only the children of Crown Princess Victoria would keep the title of Royal Highness. Other grandchildren would keep their princely titles, but no longer be called Royal Highness. This was to focus the royal house on the direct line and help others live more normal lives. Denmark also saw a similar move. In 2022, Queen Margaret II announced changes for Prince Joachim's children. They would lose their prince and princess titles. Instead, they would be known as Count and Countess of Montpezat. This caused some family upset. The Queen said it was in the monarchy's best long-term interest. These Scandinavian changes were about modernizing the institution, not about serious misconduct. Another example comes from Spain. Former King Juan Carlos I left his position in 2014. This happened because of financial scandals and personal issues. In 2020, he left Spain and chose to live in the United Arab Emirates. He kept his title of King Emeritus. However, his reputation was badly damaged, and he lost his active public role. His departure was due to disgrace, but he was not officially stripped of his main title by his son. Prince Andrew's situation in Britain is quite different. The Scandinavian changes were for efficiency and modernization, with no serious accusations. Juan Carlos I faced scandal and went into exile, but he kept his special title. Andrew, however, was formally stripped of his royal titles and told to leave his home by King Charles. This was a direct, forceful punishment due to serious allegations against him and his past associations. It was not a choice for modernization or a voluntary step back. This action by the British Crown highlights a unique response to a deep royal problem of integrity and accountability. 7. What this means for the royals. King Charles's choice to take Prince Andrew's titles changed many things for the royal family. It set a new rule. The king showed that the good name of the royal family is more important than protecting a family member. Before, it seemed the family always put family first, even with Andrew's problems. But now, the king has made it clear. Serious accusations like those against Andrew do not fit with being a royal. This is different from how past kings and queens handled similar issues. King Charles has set a new example for how future royals will deal with scandals. This decision also shows a big conflict. It is about protecting the royal family as an institution versus protecting individual family members. For many years, Andrew kept his royal place despite problems. People asked why it took so long, 6 years, for such a strong action. The king's move happened after a lot of public anger and news stories. This means the family had to choose between its public image and one of its own. A surprising fact is that Prince Andrew can still technically become king. Even after losing his titles and home, he is still number 8 in line for the throne. This shows a difference between losing titles, which is about ceremony and social standing, and losing a place in the line of succession, which is about law. To remove him from the line of succession would be very hard. It would need a new law from Parliament and agreement from 14 other countries where King Charles is also king. This process is very difficult and takes a long time. Also, many questions about Andrew's money are still not answered. People wonder how a 65-year-old man, who no longer works as a royal, will pay for his life. Where does his money come from? Will public money still help him, even if it is less than before? The palace has not given details about his new living and money arrangements. This lack of information means people will keep asking questions. It shows that even after this big decision, some parts of Andrew's situation are still not clear to the public. 8. The future of the crown. This historic event marked a very significant change for the British royal family. King Charles III made a firm decision to remove Prince Andrew's royal titles and ask him to move out of his longtime home, Royal Lodge. This action came after many years of public discussion and strong concerns about Andrew's connections and past allegations. The king's choice clearly showed that even members born into the royal family must now face clear consequences for their conduct. It sent a strong message to both the people of Britain and the rest of the world. The monarchy today faces many difficult modern challenges. People in Britain are concerned about the cost of living, and they question how public money is spent on the royals. There are also ongoing questions about the role of the royal family and its importance in today's world. Younger people sometimes feel less connected to old royal traditions. Scandals like Prince Andrew's put even more pressure on the institution. The public expects the royal family to be transparent and to act with high standards. King Charles's decision strongly suggests that the royal family is trying hard to change and stay relevant. This approach is different from how some royal problems were managed in earlier times. By prioritizing the crown's good name, King Charles showed that the institution's integrity is more important than protecting individual family members, even his own brother. This action sets a new, stricter standard for what it means to be a working royal and emphasizes greater accountability for those in the public eye. It shows an evolution towards a more modern way of handling royal duties and scandals. This event closes a very long and difficult chapter for the crown. Prince Andrew is now simply known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. He has lost his public duties, his official titles, and his royal residence. This situation highlighted the difficult balance between being loyal to family and upholding the reputation of the monarchy as an institution. King Charles made a very tough choice to help ensure the royal family can continue to be respected and strong in the future. It marks a moment when the institution chose its path forward with clear intent. What do you believe this significant decision means for the future role and image of the British monarchy?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.